Hello, and welcome to today's Dynamics365 Tech Talk. Today we will be covering the Copilot capabilities in Dynamics365 Finance and Supply Chain Management. My name is Philip Seaton, Senior Solution Architect, and I will be your moderator. Presenting for us today from Microsoft, we have Beatriz Nebot Gracia, Senior Product Manager, Jodi Christiansen, Senior Program Manager, Eric Wang, Principal Program Manager, Dennis Conrad, Principal Engineering Manager, and joining us to help with the Q&A, we have Abhishek Ghosh, Principal Engineering Manager. Now, Beatriz, over to you to get us started.
Thank you, Philip. Today, we're going to show you the different capabilities that are very soon coming on Dynamics Supply Chain Management. 2 of those have just been shipped, and we're bringing them today for awareness. The rest are completely new, coming very soon, and here we're going to give you the heads up on what's coming, so you know all about them. And same for finance, we have 3 different summarization features that are coming as well. You'll see that the summarization features have some in common, but at the same time, some differences and are brought in different contexts. So myself, I'll be talking about the different SCM features and capabilities. And then for finance side, we'll have Jodi and Eric. So starting with the first ones that are already available, just to bring you awareness of it, we already have a confirmed purchase orders workspace that is already available in the app. With this, you can have enhanced decision-making procurement. The idea is that instead of having all your changes different places, you have one workspace that gives you that view with all the changes coming. And if you have the address for that vendor, you can even send communications right away. And to even focus more your attention, you have them classified on low impact changes, high impact changes, or impact downstream orders. So you just have to open in the application, confirm purchase orders with changes, and then automatically the summaries done by Copilot come right away, as well as you have the changes below. If you want to focus on the low impact changes, you can just click show and they will come right away, as well as same for high impact or impacted downstream orders. And you have all the details here of what are the changes, the items, and the orders that are affected. Again, just going back to it, it is already available since the end of last year. So if you want to try it out and have not seen about it, you can already do so. The next one that has just recently been available, in case you've not seen yet, is that in the Warehouse mobile app, we are bringing insights into the open work on the warehouse. And this will come through the Warehouse mobile app for all the users by the summary you can see here on the screen with Copilot. It tells you how many peak work lines are there and how many receive ones, and then how many warehouse workers are available at the certain warehouse you're logged in. These KPIs will always come, and then depending on the open work, you will have what kind of work is it. If it will involve mostly sales orders, and this example, located in a certain zone or in a certain location. If there's a common or a pattern that is there on that open work, like average load is 10 items per order, approx 30 kilos, and having a size of 160 volume units. This is just an example of what it will come. It comes already in 10.0.38 with the feature and feature management context-aware warehouse worker summary screen in WMA, and with the latest Warehouse mobile app version that was just released 2 weeks ago. So you have that available. You will need to enable the feature, and once you do, both the Copilot feature as well as the option to show it in the menu and the Copilot icon will always appear. So the moment you enable it on feature management, it will be, of course, for all your users. If there's certain users that would not like it, you can always change it in the menu to not show the Copilot. So far is what is already available, these 2 capabilities on SCM. The new ones that are coming that we are just talking about today, it's context-aware summarization. So all these features are going to summarize certain pages, forms in the application, so you have the right insights in the form that you're on as a user. The first one is on product holder we have many users all across the application that are using all sorts of forms. And we do have this little form here that you see on the screen, the 2/3 on the left. They are bringing information such as product number, name, the product type, the item group, default order type, procurement category. But if you need more insights, then you have to go to the product details summary to read those insights. So with this product folder, every time, no matter in which form you're in, that this form, the existing form already pops up. Like let's say we're in a sales line. If I hover over the product number, then I will get this pop-up that tells me still the same information as it had before, plus a generated product summary. This generated product summary will contain the basic info of the product and is aware of which security roles, so it will only show me info that I'm allowed to see, as well as context that I use. So let's say I'm mostly a sales representative or working with the sales form, the summary will be aware, so it will show me that kind of information and not more information belonging to another person like logistics. The same way, we're going to have a similar one on the product details. Again, product details for the release product contains a lot of information, a lot of fields, and is commonly used by many different roles to know different information, and not all fields may be relevant. So in about this product, you will have, that is the first section of the Copilot part. It will show right at the top of the release product details. You will have generic information about the product, such as if it's configurable and how many units you have across all your warehouses. So you can get an idea of if you have a lot or not in your inventory. You will as well get purchase information, general information about the price, vendor, if there's any multiples, trade agreements, etc. So you can quickly get it already into this summary here, and you don't need to go to trade agreements. And the same for sales information. And as I mentioned, this will appear right away when you open the form on the release product details. And as always, if you need more information, forms are still there. The same way, it will come for vendor. So when you open the vendor, you have tons of information about that vendor that you have to find different places in the system. Active contracts, rebates, open purchase orders, some outliers, some risks, currency, if the vendor is on hold, not. All this information is always in the system, but it's easier to see if you have just a generic status on the vendor and some insights out of it. And on those insights, it's selected insights again. Not all the information can be added to a summary, but you can always have certain information and then dive deeper into it. And the idea is that on the insights, it gives you selected insights that you may want to know and be aware of. Same way, on purchase orders, we may have a lot of information, big purchase orders that we do to our common vendors that have hundreds of lines. Then it's very practical to have that summary on the top already done by Copilot that tells us a generic status of it, like there's 4 sales order lines, 3 not fully received, and 1 fully received but not fully invoiced. The order is approved and open for further processing. And then out of those lines, some selected insights may be picked that you may want to look further into. For example, that there's 1 order line that is overdue or nearly overdue, or that there may be 2 order lines with missing confirmed receipt dates. As an example, if there's only 2 lines out of the 100 that are missing those, that may be a selected insight that may be coming. For each of these, you have a respective feature for each of the summaries that you can enable in feature management to disable this feature. On the other side of purchase orders, we have sales orders. In the same way, the same idea, we will have a summary on the top of the sales order that gives you its status, the number of orders, number of lines, confirmed, received, invoice, and if partially or fully, and some insights like selected if the lines are overdue or nearly overdue, or if the ship date is equal to today, then you may want to be aware that you have something to do to ship. And this will again come right away on top of the sales order. And then we are adding some filters, actions that you can do. I'll show you these ones so you have an idea of how they will look right away. So here I'm just in a demo environment. This is what is coming very soon. And then I have my sales order list. So I can just click any I want. And as soon as I open the form, I don't have to do anything. I will have this new summary tab that automatically gives me the summary. This one was easy, just one order line, not fully picked, order is open, and it's missing confirmed ship date. And the same way it will happen for every order that I can open. It will be automatically there. Not interesting as I don't have sales order lines on this one. But let's take a released one. And we have it right there. Same parallel example on the purchase order. I have my list of purchase orders and then just opening any, I get the summary done by Copilot on top with 4 order lines, 1 line canceled, 2 not fully received, and 1 line fully received but not fully invoiced. Orders approved and open, and selected insets. 2 lines either overdue or nearly overdue with 1 missing confirmed receipt date. And yet again, the idea is that if it's a user that is not working all day with a certain purchase order, just needs selected insights, instead of going through the whole form, he or she could get directly the insights right away. So with this, I will pass it to Jodi to tell us about the different summarizations that are coming on finance.
Thanks, Beatriz. Okay, so on the finance side, we have a couple of them that we want to talk about today. So the first one is the Collections Coordinator Summary. And this has been in public preview since June of last year, and it will GA in June of 2024, so pretty soon. And this feature is for the Collections Coordinator, or known as the Collections Agent as well. And it's a summary of their aging amounts, their payment history, and any remaining credit for the customer. And then it can also create an AI-generated email for sending off to a customer. So the collection agent or the collections coordinator doesn't have to craft that type of email every time they need to send something. So it will use all of the different information that it has for those customers to get that information. So their overdue balances, they can see their credit, they can see their aging, they can see activities. All of this information is going to be on the same page that you can see here. This has changed a little bit since the preview went out, so I will show you this here in a demo here in just a minute. But this is where all of that information is going to be held, is on that Collections Coordinator Summary. And in feature management, we do have 2 features. It's the Collections Coordinator Summary and Collections Coordinator Workspace. So those both will need to be on, which they will be. But this is how you get that type of information for the Collections Coordinator. So let me bring that up and I'll show you. Okay, so in finance, if we go to Credit and Collections, we have a new workspace called Collections Coordinator. And this has changed since we first released it. It used to go directly to the detail page, and now we've added an overview page first, because collections coordinators, they need to know, which customers are the most overdue or which customers have the highest balances. And that's what we see on this very first page. So we have the highest balances, we have our age balances. We can see all that information on this very first page. Any of the activities that are assigned to that collections coordinator will show up here as well. If you select a specific customer up here, like my Forest Wholesales, this will take you directly to that detail page, or you can also click just on the customer name itself. Either one of those options will take you right into the detail page. And then this is where we see our Copilot summary. So we know that they have a good credit rating, which is just the credit rating that is on the customer itself, and that they've recently defaulted on $145,000, which you can see that's their aging balance down here at the bottom. But this is the Copilot summary where it tells them that what the balance due, it's all overdue. They haven't made any payments in the last 6 months. They haven't been sent any invoices either, but they do have a remaining credit amount of $237,000. So it just gives them that information very quickly. They don't have to navigate back to the customer record to see what is their credit remaining, what are their invoices they've been sent the last 6 months. That type of information is all going to be held right here in that summary that they get from Copilot. And then the create reminder email, I can just hit create reminder email. It does tell you that it's AI generated. Do you want to create the email? And I'll say yes. And it's just opened on my other screen, so I'll move it back over. It just uses your default email or default mail that you're using on your machine. And it just, again, formats an email like a collection letter or like a reminder letter that you want to send to a customer. So outstanding invoices reminder. If the email information is set up on that customer, it pulls in their email, their name, and then gives you the signature for the collections coordinator that's working on this customer right now. So it does give you that type of information. Again, this is AI generated, so we would expect users to go in and edit it if they need to, make sure it's clear and what you want to say before you send it off to the customer. But it just uses your email client in order to send that to the customer itself. Okay, so again, that was in public preview. It's going GA in June here of 2024. All right, the next one we have is our workflow history summary. And for what we are doing with the workflow history is, if you've ever worked on the workflow within finance or supply chain, the workflow history page can be very cumbersome. There's a lot of information that shows on that type of page. And what we're trying to do here with this one is just bring some of that information to the top of that page for you so you don't have to go searching through it. So the most relevant information is going to be who submitted it, when did they submit it, were there any comments? So for this one, you can see the summary by Copilot for the workflow status. It says it was submitted by Julia, this is the date, and adjustments for the month end was the actual comment that was entered, and that's what that is. And then it gives you the following actions. So it kind of does it in reverse order. So the most recent action was it was resubmitted by Julia with a comment, and then it was rejected by Julia. Again, I'm using the same user for this one, but you can see how it would go through and just list out the different actions that have been done for this workflow history, the most recent. If it was submitted and rejected, a week ago, but, 5 things have happened since then, those 5 things would be the most important things. So they would be listed first on this workflow status summary that we have here for the Copilot. So it's just bringing back that type of information so you don't have to scroll through all of that information when you're going down and working on the workflow. So this is going to work in any of the workflow history pages. It's not specific to any workflow, but it does work for any of the workflow history pages when you go in and do the view history. So anybody that can see the view history will be able to see this type of summary by Copilot. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Eric to talk about the next one.
So this feature is about Copilot summary capability about customer account. So when user opens the customer account through this All Customers menu, they will see a new fast tab appear on top of this form, summary by Copilot. And similar as the vendor summary, there will be 2 sections in this fast tab. Firstly, the status. So we summarize the customer posted invoice, custom payment, and outstanding invoice amount, and unsettled payment amount for finance side. And we also summarize the sales order information, sales agreement information, and the rebate information for SCM side. And the second section is about insights. So we will inform the user about, for example, overdue invoice information, the maximum overdue days with the invoice number, and the maximum overdue amount with the invoice number. And from SCM side, we will inform user about the delayed sales order lines and the information. And also, for example, some customer invoice, they have a different currency against the currency configured on the customer's data, or some sales order not confirmed but invoiced. So this is the selected insights we'll provide in this summary. And this feature is also enabled by a feature management customer page summary. And this feature will be generally available in July 2024. So this is the live system. So when you open the All Customers form, you can see this Copilot fast tab and the status and insights information. So in this way, you can see in the last year, there were 4 posted customer invoice, the amount and the outstanding amount. and the custom payment information, unsettled amount for this customer is 0, and the sales order amount, and the sales order status delivered, invoiced, or open, and the sales agreement and rebate information. And if you switch customer accounts for this one, then we will call AI again to generate the summary for this customer account, US004. So you can see the summary information for this account. Okay, so that's it. Let me hand over back to Jodi.
Okay, so those are all of the summary copilots that we wanted to talk about. We just wanted to give you a few more things, just some information about how we're releasing these new summary features that are coming up very soon. The first thing is these summary features will be released directly to general availability, so they will be on by default. And we just wanted to go through why we're doing this. Because we are using existing transactional data within the system, there's very low risk doing this implementation. Because we're using that existing data, there's no prompt that users can enter. So users can't interact with this type of Copilot. It's not like a question and answer. It's just, as you saw, when you go to those pages, it gives you a summary, again, using the existing data that's in finance and operations. So it's very low risk in that area. We have an agreement with our customers that features can only be on by default if they're in GA. So that is why we're going to GA right away. In feature management, these features will be on by default when they are released. But this gives a significant value to our customers in that, we are enhancing their efficiency. We're giving them, more information, maybe they can work faster, that type of thing. They can focus on those high value activities rather than, again, like scrolling through workflow history or, that type of thing. So we want, as many users as we can to give us feedback and, provide additional insights to us. So by turning this on by default, we will enable more users to get that out of the box, and then they can keep giving us feedback, and then we can just do ongoing improvement through all these features. And again, it's a non-invasive approach. It's the summary that you can see in a fast tab. You can minimize it. You can turn the features off. So we are not forcing this, but we want users to know that this information is available. So, but the last thing then is we won't compromise on our security of our systems operations. It's very secure what we're doing, and we'll get to some of those architecture details here in just a few minutes. Okay, so for these summarization scenarios in the coming weeks, again, they'll be on by default. So we'll be doing some releases, some updates. So in build 10.038 PQ5 and 39, it's PQU3 of finance and operations. This is when we're going to turn on those Copilot features automatically through feature management. So an update will go out. They will be installed automatically and enabled automatically. And then, of course, in 10.040, those Copilot capabilities will be on as well. So 40 and above, and then 38 and 39, there's some updates that will come out that they will be on by default. There are some Dataverse or solutions that will also be installed. So if you have connected to those Copilot capabilities, so for using those Copilot capabilities through Azure OpenAI, we will be automatically installing those on Dataverse, and then those will be on by default as well in the Dataverse solutions. So there's many things that enable this Copilot. They will all be turned on by default when these updates come out. But it's just the way that we can, again, get more users access to the Copilot capabilities that we have in these systems. I know there was a question earlier about languages. I put the link in there. There is a public report that's out there. So which languages are these available in? Which geographies are these available in? This report will give you that information so you can see, when they're coming. It gives you the release information as far as when they're going to be available. But all of the languages and the geos are going to be in that type of report. All right, I will turn this over to Dennis then to talk about the framework.
Thank you, Jodi. So these AI features, just like all Microsoft AI features, follow the Microsoft Responsible AI framework. The goal of this is to make sure that all AI systems allocate equal opportunity and resources and information in ways that are fair to the humans that are using them. They are also reliable and safe and will function well for people across different conditions and contexts. AI features, just like any other features, are designed with privacy and security in mind as a priority zero. Systems are designed to be inclusive of people of all abilities. They're designed such that the information displayed can easily be understood and without a risk of misunderstanding. They're designed such that the humans can be in control and be accountable for it. So the Finance and Operation Copilot, Finance and Supply Chain Management, is built such that we are basically extracting facts from X++. We are then sending these to a Dataverse solution where we are formatting the requests. And from there, we're sending it to an instance of Azure OpenAI to summarize these facts into natural language. And this is what is being displayed. So there is no business analytics. I saw a few questions in the chat being used here. This is basically all the dependencies we have. I should also remember to say that the instance of Azure OpenAI remains within the same geo of the F&O instance. So there is no sending of data across any geo, as this would be a violation according to our policies.
So we see many of you have asked on the chat questions about extensibility. Can I extend the copilots on the summaries? Can I select which information goes into the copilot? Can my partner extend it? So just to give more info on that. The summaries that we are presented here is the summaries we are initially releasing, and they are in the context that we have presented them. Meaning, like in the example of sales order and sales order lines, they will be presented in the given sales order or purchase order. So you have to open it, and it is in the context we give. We will never give information in the summary that the user doesn't have the right to see. Meaning, if there's a user that doesn't have access to sales information in the product, we will not show that information in the product, as an example. And at the moment, all these summarizations and the content that goes into the summarization, what content is presented, how that content is presented, which is selected as insights, as an example, that is something that we have selected ourselves as Microsoft for this first release. And it's at the moment not being able to be filtered or applied any rules, as some of you may be asking. So at the moment, this is not extendable in this first release. We would really like your input, if you can give on the questions as well, if there's anything specific you would like to see. But in general, we are definitely taking the fact that you would like to have more filtering, decision around what goes into the summary, and more extensibility.
Okay. So looking over the chat, we have some other fairly common questions. I'll bring some of those up. In regards to which environments are supported, there were some questions whether this can be tested out in a dev environment or on-prem instance, or does this need to be sandbox or production or unified dev? Dennis or Abhishek, would you like to answer that?
It will only work on an environment where the corresponding Dataverse solution can be installed. So that would be an online dev, similar to experiences like planning optimization.
Another common question was regarding licensing. Since this is going to be on by default, is there any additional licensing like the finance premium or supply chain premium needed?
No, this is all included. There's no additional licenses needed.
Another common question was, how does this impact performance? Is there any sort of noticeable load for the users when the summaries are generated or when they load onto the form, or are there any sort of infrastructure changes being made to support this additional load?
I can answer that. I can see this. Yeah, this question has been asked a couple of times. So the way this is implemented is that it's using an async form part, which means that there will be no impact on the load time of the form. The form will be executed in a separate thread, such that the user can open the form just like they used to, and then this will not be impacting this user experience, and then the AI-generated summary will load when it's ready.
Jodi and Eric, we did have a couple questions about the collections workspace in particular. One of them was, what is the email address that is selected when you use the generative feature?
So the email address is on a customer record. There's the credit and collections fast tab. There's a collections contact that's on there. So it's that contact that it's using. If that contact is not filled in, it uses the first contact on the customer, their email address.
Great. Thanks for that clarification. And is there any way to process or generate emails for multiple customers, or does that need to be done one at a time at this point?
Right now, it's just one at a time.
And is there ability to add or customize or add attachments or customize the content of the email?
Not right now, no.
Great. Hope that clears those up. Regarding the workflow summarization, there was question about whether that would only be applicable to specific workflows or if that would show up for any workflows.
It will show up for any workflow in the view history page.
I think that's an important clarification to make. It's not just for finance. Another question I had was asked that some of the features shown here today don't necessarily match what's in some of the marketing materials. Like on the purchase order workspace, the marketing video shows the ability to get substitutions, find alternate vendors, and interact through the chat. The ask was, is that still on the roadmap, or has that feature been cut?
So we are going to continue evolving in the AI workspace, and that is still our goal. We are working towards like many different capabilities and specific features. So what was shown on the marketing video is still our goal and what we'll be working towards. We are still working with technology that is ever-changing in a very rapid way. So we'll keep updated on the release plans on the specifics that are coming and to which level they are coming.
So we've got a couple difficult questions from the chat here, but I think it's important we address those. One being the summarization seems to take up a decent amount of space on the forms. Is it possible to have these minimized or hidden or put them somewhere else on the screen? So common feedback is that it kind of the forms are a little bit small and hard to view already. Is there any way to address that?
You can always minimize the tab. It's a tab after all. And then if you would not like to see it at all, it can always be disabled on feature management.
And if you minimize the fast tab, the AI will not be called, so it will not impact anything else.
Okay. Another common question is, this is being added in some ways in a PQU or proactive quality update. Would it be possible to expand on why that decision was made, as the general direction we'd given to customers was that format was made for break fix, and here we're adding Copilot features. So who would like to tackle that and explain a little more in depth why we made that decision?
I can take that one. So it kind of goes back to that benefit slide that I brought up a little bit earlier. We want to enable the Copilot features for the customers, and most of the customers that we have right now are still on versions 38 and 39. So in order to get all of our customers, to see these, new, great benefits from Copilot, we do need to, go back and do it through a proactive quality update. With that said, putting those features back on that version, they can turn them off if they don't want to use them at that point. But in order for customers to see that they are available, we are going to turn them on for them back on those versions. We made that decision. That is something that we discussed, and should we do this or not? But we wanted to get these features out to our customers as soon as possible. So we did make the decision to go back to those versions and release these quality updates. But again, the summarization features, they're not, they're very low risk because it's using the data that's already there within finance and SCM. So it's not introducing, new code for many new things or, complicated features. It's very simple summarization features using AI. So that's why we decided that we would release them back on those versions.
I think it's also important to note, there's questions regarding, do we share data, or is Microsoft using any of this data for our own purposes or to train any of the models? Dennis, I think that goes to your slide regarding accountability.
Yeah, I can definitely take that. So no, we are not collecting any data, and there is also no training of any models in this, not on this data, not on any of the customer data. We will periodically update the underlying model after I've gone through quality assessments, but these underlying models are different versions of the GPT model that I'm sure most of us know by now.
Does anybody else from the panel, did you see any other questions you'd like to address?
I can address one that I see it's becoming repeated. So each of the summarization features that we have presented today, they have their own feature in feature management. That means that it's not one feature for all, but you can select which summarization features you would like to have on. So in some forms, they may be valuable to you, but they're not on some others, because of your business processes, because you have customizations on those forms. And again, our summarizations don't take into account those customizations or custom fields, so that summary may not be valuable to you. So you can decide to turn off that specific summary and then just keep the rest. It is summary by summary that you can decide to turn on or off.
I also see two questions. One is about the security control. So this is controlled by the user role, which menu item the user has. For example, for customer summary, if the user can only access invoice, payment, those finance data, then this user will not see any AI summary for SCM data like orders, agreements. But vice versa, if the user only has the SCM access, then and I see another question about the cache. So for currently, there's no cache for customer summary and other summary, but the cache solution is on the roadmap. And we're also planning to have timestamp and a refresh button for user to refresh the data if there's some new transaction posted during the cache duration.
One question here, it was mentioned earlier as we were talking about the environments that are supported. It requires a linked Power Platform, Dataverse environment. There's a question, what will happen if these are enabled, if there is no linked Dataverse environment?
So if there is no Dataverse environment, then the summaries will not show up.
But the fields will, but just be empty, right? Or will the entire tab not show up?
The entire tab should not show up.
Okay, so I think that brings us about to the end of the presentation. Again, we've got a lot of exciting features coming out. We appreciate everybody for attending. Again, many thanks to our presenters and to those of you for attending today. We hope you found this content valuable and that you have a great day.